What's more cool than a well-designed T-Man action figure? Well, if you look at the vintage line, the action feature. Hello, toy fans! Welcome to another top 5 video set. This time we're looking at one of my favorite toy lines, Mattel's vintage 1982 to 1987 Masters of the Universe. And we're not looking at specifically figures, but we're looking at the top 5 play features or action features of the figures from this line. Now, there's a ton of stuff in Masters of the Universe. There's really cool characters, really cool weapons that do things. I specifically was looking at features that happen to be a part of the figure. I also didn't look at vehicles this time because, well, you know, we're not there just yet. Now, out of my top 5, pretty much as long as it was attached to the figure and it didn't have to have a weapon involved in order to make it do what it did, I said that was my guidelines for this list. Now, coming in at my number 5 for my top 5 action features, it is Man-E-Face's Face Turn. So this has been one of those play features that I just think work really, really well. In the story, Man-E-Face actually is able to change different personas and actually is controlled by Beastman at one point because of the different faces. And it was a very simple mechanism. You basically had a dial up here and you would turn a cylinder that had one of 3 faces on it. So you had a robot face. That was a pretty good looking mold. You had the monster face, which was one of my favorites as a kid. And then of course you had the hero face. And I always like that they have the faces in there, but you didn't sacrifice the spring-loaded mechanism inside the waist, which still made him able to punch and slap and battle other figures. Alright, so down my number 4 action feature out of the Masters Universe toy line was the waist spin for Cyclone. I'll go ahead and say he certainly is bright, and considering the fact that his main colors are red, blue, and yellow, he is primary out the wazoo. But what's really interesting and what I liked about Cyclone and his play feature was he had a really simple mechanism. He had a gear inside that used waist articulation and this dial. And of course, you had the arms on kind of a loose hinge so they would flail out and he could fly around and hit people. And I think that's such an effective thing because instead of just having like a waist punch, you can actually turn him on his side and have him smack down whole troops of Skeletor's legions, and he helps out the Masters. My number 3 for my list of action features for the Masters Universe toy line, and this one I used to scare my mom with quite a bit because she was afraid of snakes. You got it, one of the snake men, it's Ratlore and his head launching feature. Now this one was such a unique play feature, I think, for the line, because at this point, we're getting Snake Man. Not only are we getting new molds of things, but we're getting some really interesting things to play with. And it was a debate between him and Cobra Khan, and I decided on him because his play feature, again, would knock over other things. I remember bringing this to my mom, who's afraid of snakes, and showing her that play feature. Now, he has a couple things. One, he has a rattle. But 2, on his back, he had a little button back there that you would press. You press it and Venom Strike. That's right, he would reach up and bite people. Not only making him essentially taller in the long run, but also making him be able to strike the heroes from afar. Number 2 seems simple enough, but you know what? You can't fist them all. My number 2 action feature is a fist punch on Fisto. You know, when you think about it, it is such a simple play feature. But, you know, not only does Fisto and even Jitsu have the waist articulation, but then to have it to where they have the punch or chop also makes it so worthwhile. One of the things I loved about what Mattel did with these is actually having this on a type of hinge, so that way you could turn it, he could knock on Castle Grayskull, boom. He could bop someone on the head, or he could uppercut them just like that. And oftentimes, even though I've only been able to land it once, I would pull everything back and let him just take off and punch someone in the gut. And we're down to that number one action feature for the Masters Universe toy line. The one I picked out as number one is amazing. Keep in mind, if you're liking what we're doing with the top 5, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell for notification, comment down below. I'd love to know what your top 5 are. And really, I like interacting with you all. So, let's get to it. My number one play feature for the Masters Universe toy line is Thunder Punch He-Man's Thunder Punch. I loved this. And my number one play feature to date is the Thunder Punch He-Man. I absolutely love this He-Man. And what's cool is he had a couple things. He had it where you could put spare power caps or shooting caps in his shield. But the biggest thing is he had that punching fist, and he had a backpack like this where you would put in those caps inside of his backpack. And after you locked it down, turn the caps into place. Well, back in the day it worked a lot better where he would make that popping sound. Let's see if I can get it. Try one more time. Yeah! So that's it! That's my top 5 action features of the Masters Universe toy line. You know, the figures are great, and one day I'll do a top 5 of my favorite characters from the Masters Universe toy line, maybe across the board. I've got classics, I've got 2000X, and He-Man, the New Adventures, so we got quite a bit to cover and to look at. Remember, they're not dolls. They're action figures, or in this case, action features. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.